Yeah.
You filming this?
Yeah. Okay. So what we're looking for is quality writing, good, well-chosen, been on for a little while, well-chosen adjectives, showing, not telling, quality writing that actually transports us away from this classroom for the moment. So let's have a look. So we've just had Rachel shivered. Every step she made was hesitant. Do we need this? Remember, your goal is to say what you need to say in as few words as possible. That's your golden rule, and you brand it into your brain and you apply it in every assignment, in every subject until you die. Okay? That's how you do well with your work. Every step was hesitant. I mean, that's fine. There's nothing incorrect about that. But with narratives, it needs to be really sharp and pointy. So if you don't need it, take it away. If you take it away and you think, oh, I actually really prefer the way it sounded with the words in, then put them back in. But you're just going to have to cut words somewhere else. You choose where they absolutely must be. Her arms were folded in front of, so we need in front of her, like a shield. We could actually cut out more words though. I'm glad that this semicolon is here because we've got a complete sentence on one side and a complete sentence on the other side. That means you have been listening to those little really simple rules about semicolons. But if you say every step was hesitant, her arms folded in front of her like a shield, what do you reckon? Every step was hesitant, her arms folded in front of her like a shield. Is that okay? Yeah. It's okay. Every step was hesitant, her arms folded in front of her like a shield. Okay. Now, do we need these two words? Can we delete them? And I'd like to reiterate here, it's okay for you to have those words in your first draft. That's natural. But in your subsequent drafts, get a little bit better at deleting them. An eerie tone. Okay. An eerie tone. What in the air?
Filled.
Okay, so we could say filled, but we could say something else, couldn't we?
Or maybe lingered.
Lingered? Is that giving us the effect we want? Maybe.
Ran shrill.
Pardon?
Ran shrill.
Ran shrill. And oh, okay. So
Like instead of in the air, you could say ran shrill through the air.
oh, instead of rang shrill, why don't we just go shrilled? Shrilled through the air.
Yeah.
Shrilled in the air. Shrilled piercingly. Something along those lines. You can see how by taking those two words out and adding a more evocative verb in there, we're creating more atmosphere. And it's a pretty simple thing to do. You don't have to be clever or a brilliant writer to be able to do it. An eerie tone shrilled through the air. Or an eerie ring, or an eerie pulse, or an eerie something else. You could actually change that if you wanted to. And she felt alone. An eerie tone shrilled through the air. An eerie pulse shrilled. The reason I want to change the word tone now is because the word shrilled is a sharp, harsh sound, and tone is not necessarily a harsh, sharp sound. So you just need to make sure that the verb you use matches the noun that you've got there. So maybe it's a whistle, an eerie whistle. There we go. Because whistles can be shrill, can't they? So if you change that to whistle, it's even a little bit stronger again. Nick, the lid should be down. Zach. And she felt alone. Is this as powerful as it could be? There's nothing wrong with it, but it could be more powerful.
Isolated.
Yes, isolated. Actually, isolated is is good. Alex.
Can you use like a metaphor, like she felt alone, like a open sea?
Yes, you could. Like a lamb surrounded by wolves or something like that. Yeah, so you could bring those opposites in. I mean, like I said, it's okay, but it still could be strengthened. She felt isolated. So that was one of the suggestions. Do we need to actually add some extra information, like completely, to make it more intense? She felt completely isolated. Or we've just had an eerie, shrill whistle through the air. If that was you, what would you do? Shriek. You would freak out, wouldn't you? So maybe this bit needs to be more intense than her just feeling isolated or alone. What would your reaction would? Come on, let's describe it. Let's strengthen it. Let's make it more intense. So they are all improvements, but how do we want to describe her reaction? And she jumped or panicked. These are all options. And she panicked. How would you describe panic?
Sweaty palms.
Arms in the air like this.
Yes. Her arms in the air. Maybe you just talk about her heart pulsing wildly. And then you could say, feeling instantly alone and, what's this word? Vulnerable. You wouldn't use alone and isolated because they both mean the same thing, so you have to come up with something that has a slightly different meaning to it. So can you see? Every step was hesitant. Her arms folded in front of her like a shield. So we already know that she's uneasy. Hello, this is working. Yes. AD, you have to go and pack your bag and go straight to reception. You must be going home. Alright, so listening, let's do this again. Zach and Nick, your laptop lids should be down. Lara, so should yours. Every step was hesitant, her arms folded in front of her like a shield. An eerie whistle shrilled through the air and she jumped or she panicked, her heart pulsing wildly. Actually, we need to change this. As she instantly felt alone and vulnerable. Or as feelings of vulnerability, of loneliness and vulnerability swamped her, or something like that. Okay. Oh, this is nice. A twig snapped behind her and she swiftly turned around. Nice. Cutting the air like a knife. Now, you can see that so vividly because that's what you do when you're frightened or something has caught your attention. This is an interesting simile in a way. It's a very common one. So I would always encourage you, put that in there in your first edit, but then maybe consider changing it. Like a knife. What else swipes or moves quickly?
Sword.
Lightning, like a sword. Actually, a sword would even be slightly better because again, it's different. It's not a classic phrase that's constantly being used. Yes.
Shogun.
Like what?
A shogun, like a Japanese samurai.
Oh, like a samurai. Actually, a samurai would be a really effective choice of noun if your story was based in Asia or it had an Asian character or Asian flavour to it. That would be an awesome noun. But that's a really lovely sentence because it's very clear. Though there was nothing, and that is what she was afraid of. So, this is a little bit of a grammatical error. If we just put a